Good morning. My name is Willie Lawson of Fight Back Media and Fight Back Media TV. Video is going to be a tough one to make because when you're a small conservative media creator like we are, we have to value each and every follow and like. But what you have to value more is your own integrity. What we have always promised our small but loyal set of followers is that we would always shoot straight, always tell the truth as we see it. It is, and has always put us at odds with the mainstream and even some of the people that we agree with 80% of the time. But if we compromise on that, we will become like every other media source that only cares about popularity and not about truth. So when I started this, I was told that I was a cheap version of Rush Limbaugh, which was hysterical because the fact was that when I started it, I never got to hear Rush Limbaugh for many years because I started my show at 1 p.m. I started my show actually at the same time. We were on at the same time. He had 21 million listeners, and I had 7. He was destroying me. I never heard a thing he said on the show. And then they said I was just regurgitating what Fox News was. And I'll tell you what, I don't remember if there's ever been a time when I sat down in front of my TV to watch Carlson Tucker. I'm pretty sure there hasn't been ever. And I've been called a house nigger and Uncle Tom by people who look like me. It doesn't bother me because I believe I've been true to my original mission. The mission is to get a differing viewpoint to the conservative community. I believe I have a unique perspective that should cause some people to take pause about everything they've been told or taught. Being a 62-year-old Black man that has lived his entire adult life in the South, I am very aware of history. But I'm also very aware of the present. Where we are now is what is most important. I am not interested in righting wrongs that do not need to be righted at this point. I've always been a person that needs to move forward. It is the future that is the most important thing. I hear a lot of people pining away, and I'll tell you what, my father was an abusive drunk, terrible individual. I know that we shouldn't speak ill of the dead, but I've always been of the mind that we should be able to tell the truth. He's not a good person. Now, he may not have been a good person because he had demons, because whatever. Did not offer me a lovely childhood, an idyllic childhood. He was drunk. He was abusive. He was physically abusive to my mother and myself, culminating in one evening, Friday evening, I think, came home from work, I guess, drunk, abusive, and heard him slap my mother around. And I ended up in the kitchen, in the living room area, dining room, where the dining room table was anyway. That was before open concept was a thing. And my mother was standing to the left, and he was standing to the right in front of her. And suddenly a shot rang out. He had shot her. This person, who was my father, had shot my mother right in front of me. I ran out of the house to get help. My mother did not die, but as a 12-year-old boy, I learned what a colostomy bag was. I learned that I had to change my mother's colostomy bag. something that a 12-year-old boy should not have to do, ever. So it would have been a great story had my father found Jesus and became the most idyllic father in history. But no, if anything, if anything, he became a bigger piece of crap. If anything, I think it got worse. The last time that we actually had a conversation of any sort, he alluded to the time that he had cheated on my mother. So you beat her and you tried to kill her and you cheated on her, and then you thought that somehow we would get closer together if you admitted to me that sometimes you stepped out on my mother. Piece of crap. Now, I tell you that story because I could have stayed there. In my brain, I could have stayed right there. And if I had stayed right there in that anger, none of you would have blamed me. You're like, dang, that's awful. I see why you're angry. Because I believe I had cause. I believe I had cause. There were afternoons where he was drunk, asleep on the couch in the spare bedroom that we call the den. While my mother was in the hospital, I was home with him in the afternoon. And I thought, well, I could just slit his throat. Just stab him with these really sharp knives. Because I had learned the phrase justifiable homicide. And I thought, I'm 12, I can get away with it. That I'm in such an emotional state, I could get away with it. I mean, the only reason I didn't do it because I knew it would break my mother's heart. I could have stayed there. But I learned a phrase that made my life livable. Do not make the people of your present pay for the people of your past. That keeps your focus on the future. Moving forward. This is why I've never spent any time talking about reparations. Even when some around me, dear friends around me, wanted me to. I just don't see the sense in asking the people seen as the oppressors to become my liberators. Because I'm already free. I had to make it clear to young white progressives on more than one occasion that I don't need or want anything from you. And I had to say to them, you don't owe me anything. Except that you get out of my way because my ankle is swollen because of inflammation. Could you just get out of my way? Our hope as a republic is rooted in our future. I've seen so many memes on social media pining away about how great things were before, but we have zero access to the past. And as you already know, I told you, I don't really have a fondness for my past like a lot of people do. I'm not blaming you. And if you do, I'm really happy for you. But I do, however, have an obsession for the future. I've lost in the past, and I can only win in the future. This mentality directed me for many years. When I had already, been doing a podcast, the Willie Lawson Show, on Blog Talk Radio for a while, had done more than 1,000 programs. When I got a chance to do a brokered radio show. Oh, listen, by the way, don't ever do a brokered radio show. If you're not independently wealthy or have somebody who's going to pay for everything as your vanity project, don't do it. All it will do is make you broke. Don't do it. Anyway, a show on WGOL, a local radio station, there was a shot that I could do my own radio show, and I was excited about it. And it came to the fact that where I was going to have to pay for that time. I didn't know anything about that. I was convinced that people would, I'd be able to get sponsors and they would pay for the time. And they sold me. It was WGUL here in Tampa, a Salem Broadcasting on the Salem Broadcasting Network. They sold me. I didn't have a clue, an inkling as to what the hell I was doing. Not at all. I just knew at the end of every month I owed them money, and I think I think I actually got to pay them maybe twice. Maybe twice I actually got to cut a check to them and pay them. So don't do it. So that's the time where I was hoping, because I had this program, this terrestrial radio program, that I would get support from people, that I would get support from local conservatives, who there was a black conservative on conservative radio here in their town, and that I'll get support. My first interview on that program was with Andrew Breitbart. I don't know how much out of the park I could have been. I don't know how far that home run could have gone, how much farther it could have gone, and that was my first interview. Right? Still, zero support. I ended up having to quit. But the choice was to do what? Move on. So twice, I decided to run for a local office. County Commission, District 3, Hillsborough County, where I live. Because I'm a big believer, if you're going to get involved in politics, you have to get involved in politics where you live. Well, I put myself out there. I told everybody and fill out the paperwork to run, and I, move forward. Now, again, one of two things have to happen. You have to get enough petitions to get on the ballot, or you have to raise the qualifying fee. After all I'd done, no, none, zero. Did not get on the ballot. Did not raise enough money for the qualifying fee or enough petitions for the to get on the ballot. Didn't happen. Not enough support. Was I upset during that time? Most certainly I was. I was upset. But in the meantime, the Republican National Convention was having their national convention here in Tampa. So what did I do? I said, this is the little show that could. We need to be on Radio Row with everybody else. So people who listen, we weren't even doing video then. We were just doing audio on Blog Talk Radio. We weren't doing any video. We weren't on YouTube. There was no Rumble or BitChute. We barely had a website. It was, I look back and it was the world's worst website. If you think our website is bad now, oh my goodness. It was still the Willie Lawson Show. And we were able to, because of some really kind people who listened every day, get the money to get on Radio Row. And we did. And we interviewed Herman Cain, and we interviewed all sorts of people, and had a great time, and was very successful. We tried another run for county commission. Same as the first time, rinse and repeat. And after that, and of course, my triple bypass surgery, Fight Back Media was born. That's it. So, as you can see through all this for me, the only direction was forward. Forward to whatever the next thing was. Fight Back Media was that next thing. I was more than willing to go it alone, but my friend came alongside, Paul Swanson, and has been and is a huge help and an encouragement. So together we've expanded our reach across every podcast platform and the attention and YouTube and Rumble and BitChute. And the attention from and we've got attention from some of the largest and most prominent conservative media outlets. I went through my Twitter circle, and some of the people that are following us on Twitter are amazing, absolutely amazing. So I know that we're being heard, and I know that we're being seen. I know that, which helps us, move forward. But I believe it's because we've stayed true to our mission. It is our integrity that has been the most important thing, and it will continue to be. So, folks, as a landscape of the 2024 election changes and shifts, what you can depend on is that Fight Back Media will continue to be loyal to the Republic and not to one political party or political candidate. So until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.